Still wondering why your influencer campaigns aren't delivering the ROI you promised your boss? Or why that perfect influencer barely moved your conversions? You are not alone. Many influencer marketers struggle with the same challenge until they found a way to break the cycle. After analyzing their strategies, we gather the key insights and turn them into a simple framework to help you optimize your next influencer campaign and protect every penny of your budget. By now, you probably know that focusing only on likes and followers is one of the biggest traps in influencer marketing. While these numbers can show that a content or creator are visually appealing or momentarily engaging, they rarely tell the full story. True success comes from turning that engagement into action, and one of the best ways to do it is defining who is the best fit for your brand. Have you ever heard of the persuasion knowledge model? It's a theory from '94 created to understand how people respond to persuasion, like ads or marketing messages, once they realize someone is trying to influence them. This theory shows that consumers aren't passive. They learn from experience and develop persuasion knowledge, which means that once they notice someone is trying to persuade them, they might change how they react, perhaps becoming hesitant, asking questions, or turning out the message. When you choose an influencer whose beliefs and lifestyle don't align with your brand's, it becomes obvious to the audience. And instead of feeling interested, they might grow skeptical about your product or service. For example, let's say you work for a vegan makeup brand. Hiring the biggest beauty influencer might not be the right move if their lifestyle does not align with your company's values. It goes beyond what looks good on your feed. It has to make sense for your brand's identity, message, and audience. It's all about authenticity, and not having it can make you lose a lot of money. In 2024, it was estimated that 42.7% of Instagram influencers were affected by follower fraud. And in 2020, fake influencer marketing cost $1.5 billion to advertisers. The lack of influencer vetting standards is definitely one of the reasons for such high numbers. But beyond that, brands are not analyzing important cues that can help them spot fake engagement and avoid wasting money. Some of them are, for example, comment tone that will show whether the influencer's followers engage naturally or just with emojis and generic responses, and inconsistent growth patterns, which is when an influencer has sudden jumps in numbers overnight with no viral content to justify it. Spotting these unethical practices from the get-go protects your budget and helps you choose influencers that can build an authentic relationship between your brand and their audiences, speaking the same language and tone of voice. By the way, have you ever considered how consistency in tone of voice can be game-changing for influencers? Studies have shown that when mentioning a brand, creators are more likely to deviate from their typical tone in terms of energy expressed in their speech and content. It's estimated that posts with brand mentions perform 8% below the average number of shares and 8% below the number of replies. That happens because the audience who's used to consuming the content knows exactly how their favorite influencer speaks, so it's easy to spot when they're doing something that is overly promotional or unauthentic. When selecting creators, just as important as checking if their tone of voice is a match with your brand's, it's imperative to let them be themselves, because that's the only way they will connect with their audience. If you micromanage every single word an influencer is going to say, your message may be lost in a sea of unauthentic content and lose its integrity. Now let me ask you a question. When vetting an influencer, which safety measure guidelines do you follow in order to protect your brand? If you don't know how to answer that, don't worry. Both big and small companies face the same problem because there are no industry guidelines on how to do that. Oftentimes, companies only pay attention to this once they have to deal with a reputational scandal with an influencer, adding more steps to the vetting process to make it safer, but also more bureaucratic. Part of securing a healthy relationship with an influencer is also protecting your brand from potential risks that can damage credibility, audience trust, and your ROI. This means going beyond the numbers to assess past behavior and collaboration history, building partnerships that are safe, transparent, and reputation-proof. And that starts with the right knowledge of who you're working with. Speaking of knowledge, imagine you're trying to decide how to invest your money. On one side, you have a creator who's a professional economist explaining a safe, data-driven strategy. On the other, a influencer casually sharing his stock picks. Who are you more likely to trust with your savings? Studies show that influencers contribute directly to brand love and long-term loyalty, and that informative content drives strong customer satisfaction. When you combine both, By working with influencers that are true experts in their niche and make informative content, you get an audience that cares not only about your product or service, but about what your brand represents. That's what I call shared authority. When you collaborate with niche authorities and, as a result, gain authority in the eyes of the audience. Bringing creators with real knowledge into your strategy can play a major role depending on your campaign objectives. Especially because when it comes to influencer marketing, whatever you do needs to be measurable. This is the only way to track performance and learn from your results to optimize your next campaigns. If you're a small brand, your goal isn't massive visibility. You need conversions and audience growth. That means focusing on KPIs such as link clicks and sales, as well as number of followers and ROI. These metrics show whether an influencer is actually driving customers to your page and attracting people who actually fit your buyer persona. If you're a big brand, conversions are much harder to attribute to a single creator, so your goal shifts to awareness and brand reinforcement. In that case, the right KPIs are reach, impressions, engagement rate, and share of voice. These numbers tell you whether your message is spreading at scale and how audiences interact with it. But to make sure this message is reaching the right people, there's something else you should pay attention to. Have you ever heard the expression, "You are judged by the company you keep"? That also applies for creator vetting. Their network shapes their audience quality. Researchers use a method called social network analysis to understand and measure social relationship patterns, influence, reach, and authority between actors in a network. Even though you're not running a full academic research in each influencer, you can still use some of those metrics to understand who interacts with the creator, who tags them, who they are collaborating with, and who are they followed by. That analysis will help you choose creators based not just on who they are, but on the power and quality of the ecosystem surrounding them. Now that we've gone through every step of this framework, you have everything you need to take your influencer strategy to the next level. From choosing the right creators to building partnerships that are authentic, data-driven, and actually move the needle in your campaigns. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.